Within Tensor, you always need to select an element to activate a function or to draw more geometry. For example, you would like to add a line with an angle at the end of this line. This would mean if you would select this line in this direction and you would move to line with an angle, you can enter, for example, an angle of 45 degrees with a length of 20 mil. If I click up OK, there's your line. So if I move one step backwards and I do not only select this line but add this line to the selection, and I would move to line angle and I would click on 45 degrees with a length of 20, I would get a line with an angle on both elements. So if I move backwards and I would select this chain, I now have 3 selected chains, although 2 chains contain only one element, the line. So if I move to a line with an angle, okay, there you go, you have 3 lines. So if I move one step backwards, I can also add my arc to the selection and move to a line with an angle. I would get a line with an angle on my arc as well. So this means if you want to make more geometry, make your selection so Tensor will know on which side, in this case, you would like to have your line with an angle. This also applies, for example, in selection. If I select my chain from there up to this element, I can move to draw other curves offset, and Tensor will ask on which side would you like to have your offset. If you look at the arrows, on the outer side would be on the left side, and we can enter a distance of 4, for example, and there's your offset. You may see that Tensor automatically deselects the original chain because chances are big that you would like to do something new with the new generated geometry, in this case the offset. For example, you would like to close the chain by clicking on close button and draw a line, join. So there's your closed chain, and this again is being selected. So if I move one step back and delete this offset, and I would select this line as my first element, this would be my second element. If I now fillet this corner with a radius of 7, for example, you would ask, what is my last element in this case? Well, as Tensor helps you a little bit, this would be your last element, this would be your first last element, and this would be your first element. So you can continue on drawing without thinking about your sequence. So you would draw your next line and fill it, which always takes part on the last 2 elements in your selection, which in this case, this line and this line. So Tensor helps you a lot in drawing, so you don't have to think all the time about your sequence and order. So try to do this yourselves.